episodically, a choice which had some people scratching their heads. And
Yay.
finally, what can we expect from those mystery boxes in Boris and the Dark Survival? Surely that game must play a vital role in the marketing of Dark Revival at this point. Well, watch on to find out as we catch up with all things Inky in this news update video. The first order of business is new game info, so let's take a look at some suggestive tweets which reveal some exciting news. On July 16th, Mike Mood tweeted out, "Alright, so it's a hard game." And on July 17th, he followed that up with, "That leap attack." Bendy and the Ink Machine was rarely all that challenging, and when it was, it often came from frustrating mechanics, like trying to dodge Brute Boris's jump attack, which, seriously, is that even possible? Dark Revival seems to be a different beast altogether, with a much higher difficulty curve from the off, and this may explain why Mike mentioned we will have the ability to save at any point during gameplay, rather than having to rely on those punch-in stations. He also mentions a leap attack, and one must assume that this refers to a new move in Bendy's arsenal. Bendy sounds like he will be a much greater threat than ever before, and with more intelligent AI to boot. We only really got to experience Bendy as a continuous threat in one chapter of a previous game, and even then he would simply chase us about until we found a hiding place. Now this makes interactions with him in the upcoming Dark Survival a far more exciting and terrifying prospect. On the subject of terror, Dark Survival is said to be a much scarier game than Ink Machine, as Vermeatly tweeted out here. Just to keep pushing it as sort of a warning, Bendy and the Dark Revival will be much scarier than Bendy and the Ink Machine. We didn't go crazy disgusting or anything, but there are some super tense moments and frightening scenes, just to let people know as we continue to develop the game. As a huge horror fan, I'm definitely excited to hear that the fear factor will be amped up tenfold in Bendy and the Dark Revival. But it's not just Bendy's moveset, the difficulty and scare factor of the game that are improving. A series of tweets between Mike Mood and Vermeatly suggest the entire game is to be bigger and better than ever before. I know it's unfair to say this without having anything to show, but today I am so struck with how huge a jump Bendy and the Dark Revival is compared to the original Bendy and the Ink Machine. In visuals, gameplay, characters and scares, what an exciting project to work on. Bendy and the Ink Machine looks and feels like a PS1 college project compared to what we're doing with Bendy and the Dark Revival. You'll just have to wait. Sorry. Boris and the Dark Survival was definitely a last hurrah to the way we would do things. Very nostalgic. Bendy and the Dark Revival, on the other hand, an all-new ballgame of quality and love for detail. So you can see the goal for the team is to make a much more ambitious and polished game with bigger thrills than ever before. Now there is a lot more on both Vermeatly and Mike's Twitter accounts, so go and follow along for instant updates. Back in June, a teaser trailer featuring Audrey and the shadow of Ink Bendy's new model released on the Joey Drew Studio YouTube channel. I put together a theory video at the time discussing Audrey's connection to Bendy in the upcoming game, so do check that out if you'd like to hear my thoughts on the subject. Beyond the sinister story implications this trailer presented, the chief point of its release was to highlight a key change to the game's launch strategy. Initially back in the spring of 2019, Joey Drew Studios posted this image on the Bendy Twitter, confirming that Bendy and the Dark Revival would follow in its predecessor's footsteps and release episodically, one chapter at a time. This worked very well for Bendy and the Ink Machine as it generated hype through the development process. The lead up to and release of a new chapter was an event and had the entire community talking. It was, to my mind, one of the key reasons why Bendy didn't fizzle out and continued to grow in popularity over a near 2-year period. There was art being made, theory speculation as everyone wondered where this mysterious story would take us next, and we all hung on the developer's every word. This episodic release strategy was a veritable hype machine. So, why the change of heart? Well, we know that launching chapter by chapter was a stressful process for the team. Expectations from the fanbase changed daily. This is of course unavoidable when a game gets picked apart so rampantly. Mike Mood and Vermeatly now seem to want to release something that is 100% their vision from top to bottom. Something that will surprise and captivate audiences due to few preconceived expectations, and a title that will shift